Hi friends, Sarah here from the Backyard Missionary. I just wanted to share with you something that that stood out to me as I'm reading through the Old Testament. I just finished reading Numbers chapter 16. I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory because I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's a rather long chapter. But I'm going to pick it up in verse 47. The backstory, though, is that Israel had decided to rebel again. They did this often, and this is just one of those circumstances where they were rebelling and grumbling against God. But this time a plague breaks out. So Moses tells Aaron to make an atonement for their sin. So we'll pick it up in verse 47. So Aaron took it as Moses said and ran into the midst of the assembly, and behold, the plague had already begun among the people. He put on the incense and made atonement for the people, and he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stopped. I'm going to read that last chapter one last time, or that last verse one last time. He stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stopped. What a powerful verse. I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory about who Aaron was before we proceed from here. Aaron was a priest. He belonged to the tribe of the Levites. The Levites were chosen by God to be the priesthood of the nation of Israel. So it wasn't uncommon for Aaron to be standing between the sins of the nation and God, making atonement for their sins. If we flip into the New Testament, we see Jesus did the same thing. He made an atonement for the sins of this world. But the call for us is still the same as what we see in the book of Numbers for Israel and for the tribe of Levites. We are still called to be a holy nation, and we are also called to be a royal priesthood. So we are called to be both Israel and the Levites. So what does that look like when we put it into practical application? To be a holy nation means that we are walking set apart. We are set apart from this world, walking in a way that is honoring to God. As we walk in our community, with our families, and with our friends, we are to remember that we are set apart for His purposes. And then finally, as the priesthood, that means that we are called to be intercessors as well. I'm sure that there are many of you this week who have burnings in your hearts over the brokenness of this world. I would just encourage you to be obedient to that burning that's in your heart and begin to pray. Because when we pray as the royal priesthood, plagues are stopped and the light of God shines into the darkness of this dark and broken world. So I just wanted to encourage you with that tonight, to go ahead in your week as both the holy nation and a royal priesthood, standing between the dead and the living and making plagues come to a halt.